Has anyone ever looked at your CGM and wondered what's going on? Because I get a lot of those questions.
I don't blame them. I mean, a lot of people can't get their head around the fact that, I'm not diabetic.
So what's the one food that's spiked your blood sugar which shocked you?
Most people think of blood sugar rise when they eat sugar or something sweet,
Sweet.
donut or a laddu or whatever, right? And they think, that's when the blood sugar rises. But that's far from truth, right? Our diet is sprinkled with so much invisible sugar.
Fruit is healthy. And then there is opposite views about no, fruit is full of sugar, increases your blood sugar.
The fruit manufacturers, they want to increase the yield of the fruit so that they can produce more and sell more, right? And in order to sell more, they have to make them taste great. And usually that comes from sweetness of the fruit. So the fruits that we eat today, they tend to have more sugar content in them as compared to same fruits, from 200 years ago.
Hi everyone, welcome to Don't Sugarcoat It with me, Krishika, also known as Glucogal. Like you all know, I've been strapping a CGM and testing various food products so that you and me both have a better understanding of it. Today we are here with someone who's been doing this for a longer period of time and has taken it to a whole new level. Welcoming Karan,
Thank you.
who's a tech entrepreneur and now turned into a metabolic health researcher.
Pretty much.
Yeah? You've tested over 300 food products on your CGM.
Yes.
And what made you do it? How come you turned from a tech entrepreneur to a metabolic health researcher?
Look, I'm just a curious person by nature.
Okay.
And I wanted to understand how these different foods affect my metabolism. And what better way than testing them, right? So
Correct.
it is simply to solve, to solve my curiosity. That's why I started testing Indian foods roughly a year ago. And my friends were very curious. Every time I would go to a social gathering, they would be asking me, how this food is doing and that food is doing.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not share it? If they are interested, then others might also be interested. So
Correct.
why not turn that into short content and then put it out there on Instagram? So that's what I started. I think sometime last year. So I started this Instagram community called Sweet Reactions. And apparently there were a lot of other people who were interested
Yeah,
in those
I
insights.
was one of them. I was following you.
Yeah.
You were an inspiration for me as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's how it all started.
Great. So, has anyone ever looked at your CGM and wondered what's going on? Because I get a lot of those questions, what is wrong with you? Why are you wearing this monitor? And what's going on? And stuff like that. So, do you get these weird questions?
You bet.
Yeah. So, what do you say to them?
Look, I don't blame them. I mean, a lot of people can't get their head around the fact that, I'm not diabetic and I'm still wearing a CGM. So,
Correct.
they're always asking what's wrong. And I don't blame them. I think the culture that we live in, it has now normalized getting sick. And most people, think of sickness when it arrives, so it's very reactive approach. People are not proactively thinking about protecting their health, metabolic health. So I don't blame them. It's very hard to understand why people like you and me would be, wearing CGMs when we're not diabetics. This is a preventative tool. You don't. It's not that you wear this only if you once you get diabetes.
Correct.
I see this as a prevention tool.
Okay.
You know, you don't have to wear it forever. I advise most people that are not testing food like me to wear it at least once in their life, and even if they're not diabetic. Actually, I recommend that you buy 2 patches because each one of them works for like 15 days. So actually, my suggestion to people is that get 2 CGMs, wear it for first 15 days, and test the foods that you eat on everyday basis. That'll give you a really good idea of what your day-to-day foods are actually doing to your metabolism. And a lot of people actually who I have recommended doing this, once they do this, the first 15 days for most of them is like living in a shock, because many times they think that the foods that they're having, even if it's a ghar ka khana, it's healthy, but when they actually test they have, they
They
realize that, it spikes their blood
blood
sugar
sugar.
massively.
So, what's the one food that's like spiked your blood sugar, which shocked you? Like you were like, "Wow, how did this happen?"
I'll answer that, but I'll quickly finish my
Yeah, yeah.
strategy
Sorry.
because the because I think this could help people. So test your
Daily
daily food items that
patterns.
you eat on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis for the first 15 days, and then wear it the second time, but this time try different hacks, try different combinations of the same foods, and see how you can improve
Those the
improve
combinations.
the impact, your blood sugar impact, by making these changes,
Hmm.
and that'll give you a really good idea of how to manage your
Manage.
food going forward. So that's why I think everyone should do it once in their life if they can, because it's a preventative tool. It's not a tool
I
that
totally
you should
agree.
wear
Yeah,
only when you get sick.
I totally agree.
To answer your question now very quickly,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of surprises, and I'm sure you did too.
Yeah.
uh, what I've realized is that in our in our daily lives, we
Hmm.
have, or we have, or in our regular diet, we have a
Hmm.
lot of invisible sugar. Most people think of blood sugar rise when they eat sugar or something sweet,
Sweet.
donut or a laddu or whatever, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And they think, that's when the blood sugar rises, but that's far from truth, right? Our diet is sprinkled with so much invisible sugar,
Hmm.
uh, that it is mind blowing. And that invisible sugar we eat happily. Of course, we don't know
Without knowing. Yeah, without
exactly,
knowing it.
and we eat happily, and we actually think that that's great.
Great.
So there are so many invisible sugars in our. There's so much invisible sugar in our diet
Hmm.
that's been the biggest revelation for me.
Right.
And these are your daily staples. Uh, your body doesn't differentiate when you consume refined sugar, or if you're having roti, rice,
Roti, yeah.
bread, millets. Your digestion system basically breaks it down into glucose as soon as you consume these
Correct.
products, and your pancreas have to release insulin to take care of that excess
Correct.
glucose.
Yeah.
So when your body is not differentiating, then why do we differentiate between refined sugar or roti or
Roti
bread
rice.
or rice? That doesn't mean that they have the same nutritional value. Of course not, and that doesn't mean that you should not eat them,
Yeah.
but at least know the impact and try to manage it.
So yet, like still, like one particular food product that you can mention, like say for example, like for what I thought was when I ate rice, I was actually I thought that it would be a higher sugar spike versus roti
Yeah,
or something like that. But when I had this jawar roti and all, I got a comparatively higher spike, and I was a
yeah,
little
yeah,
surprised.
yeah, yeah.
So, is there like something like that that you've noticed that this was supposed to give me a high spike, but it did not,
Yeah,
versus this was supposed to give me, I thought it wouldn't, but it really did.
yeah. So many. I mean, I think millets, the way they're sold, is actually one of the biggest scams.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with millet. They are, of course, more nutritious if you compare them with wheat or rice.
Hmm.
They have marginally higher protein content or a fiber content, and some good fats, but they're still predominantly carbohydrates.
Correct.
And when you consume them, your blood sugar will spike, as in your case as
Yeah.
well. And I've tested almost all millets, and every single time my blood sugar has gone up. There's not a single millet yet
That you've tried.
that has not spiked my blood sugar.
Wow.
uh,
Okay.
and and I don't have problem with that, but my problem is that uh, it is sold as diabetic friendly food,
Correct. Yeah, that's
and
true.
people think, so I have the issue with the way it's marketed.
Marketed. Yeah.
It's like any other grain, and
Correct.
all grains are extremely high in
Hi. Yeah.
carbohydrates, which is going
Yeah.
to convert into glucose in your body. So I think millets is a great example. I think the
Okay.
way it is sold is a complete
Is
scam.
okay. Okay. And tell me, so, an Indian household, a typical Indian household has a lot of carb heavy meal. It's just that plate is made in a way that's a carb heavy meal comparatively. So, what is that one tip that you would give a typical Indian household to add or subtract from their meal to make it a little more blood sugar friendly?
Look, there was a recent research that came out, a couple of months ago from ICMR, that said that 70% of our calories are coming from carbohydrates, right? So
Correct.
we are definitely a carboholic nation,
Nation, exactly.
and unfortunately, carbs is the only macronutrient that spikes your blood sugar to
Blood
the
sugar.
moon, and it's extremely insulinogenic, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there is no beating around the bush that you need to control your carbs, and that's something that I also talk about in my book. One of the strategies is to control your
Yeah.
carbs. So you have to uh, reduce either the how frequently are you eating them,
Okay.
or the or reduce the portions,
Quantity.
quantity.
Yeah.
So there's no beating around
Right.
that.
Right.
But then, of course, there are strategies that you can apply. If you combine these carbohydrates with other macronutrients, especially protein, good fats, and ideally and fiber too. So that'll help slow the glucose uptake.
Glucose. Yeah.
Of course, but that doesn't mean that you will not have a blood sugar spike. You will still have, but it'll be lesser
Little
than
lesser.
than
A
y-
little
than usual.
controlled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tested, for example, so I've tested like 10 different flour on my CGM in order to find
Yeah.
the best
Seen
one.
that. Yeah.
And wheat flour, for example, spikes my blood sugar to the moon every single time, even though I'm not diabetic. I've tested, emmer wheat, kapli, amrant, and they all do the same. I think the ones that tend to do better for me are the ancient grains like jaw and bajra.
Okay.
They, for me, gave
That
me
works.
more gentler blood sugar spike. But then what I did was that I combined. It was one of the tests that I did. It's on my Instagram. I actually combined jaw roti with palak paneer sabji. Right. So now there is a lot of fiber coming from palak.
Palak,
Paneer
protein.
is pretty rich in healthy
Yeah.
fats and protein,
Yeah.
and that even lowered
Lower
my
blood
blood
sugar.
sugar spike further. Uh, so I think
The combinations need to be done correctly,
exactly.
is what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
I think so.
And ideally, as I said in the beginning, you control the portion size. So ideally, there is less roti and more palak
Palak
paneer on your
paneer,
plate
yeah, yeah.
than vice versa.
Correct. Correct. I get that. So, just earlier in this conversation, you mentioned your book, Sick Nation.
Right.
The title, that's a little bit not very subtle, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, where does that come from? Like, what made you choose this title? And can we, like, know a little bit about it?
Yeah. Well, that was intentional
Yeah.
because I think we are not talking enough about the metabolic epidemic that India is facing as of now.
Correct.
To tell you a little bit about that, we are now, I think everyone knows that, we're already the diabetes capital of the world.
Correct. Yeah.
There are 101 million diabetics in India, diagnosed diabetic, 135 or 36 million diagnosed pre-diabetics. The same study, by the way, also found that 57% of the people who had diabetes did not even knew that they had
No.
diabetes.
Oh,
So there
God.
is
Okay.
so from that you can imagine how many undiagnosed cases are out there. So so diabetes is going through the roof. You look at the top 6 killers in India in terms of the reasons for deaths, and or actually top 10.
Yeah.
Out of those 10, 6 are what we call cardio-metabolic disorders, essentially.
Okay.
So cardiovascular disease is
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
It causes roughly 27% of all deaths in India. This is only getting younger. Uh, Average age of a heart attack in India is now 53, whereas in the rest of the world it's 63. That's a decade earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot.
And I think 40% or so cardiac or heart attacks were below the age of 50, I think. So so this is an epidemic. That is far deep. Obesity there is 40% prevalence of obesity in India. If nothing changes, the estimates are that by 2050 there will be 450 million obese people in India. 1 in 3 people have a fatty liver disease,
Correct.
extremely common, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Then our population is aging. By 2050, 20% of our population will be above 60. So we are not just facing a diabetes crisis, we're actually facing, very soon we're going to be facing a dementia crisis. And then lastly, if you look at fertility issues,
Yeah.
they are on the rise and they're also getting younger. In men, typically it's erectile dysfunction, and in women it's PCOS, which is getting
Yeah.
younger and younger.
Yeah.
So all of these conditions that I've mentioned,
Yeah.
they are basically called metabolic disorders.
Correct.
And it's one single dysfunction that is a major contributor to all of these disorders, and that's insulin resistance.
Yeah.
And there was another research I've cited in my book which said that 1 in 3 people in India have some form of insulin resistance. And again, 90% of those who have it, they don't
I'm
even
not
know
even
it.
aware. Yeah. Yeah.
So so this is an epidemic,
Yeah, that's
and
true. Yeah.
unfortunately we don't talk enough about it. Uh, and what really breaks my heart is that this is completely avoidable.
Avoidable. Correct.
This
Yeah.
is
If
a
you're,
lifestyle driven disorder. These are
yeah,
called lifestyle diseases.
correct.
And if you are, first of all, aware and if you make changes to your lifestyle, you can actually reverse the course of these disorders.
Right.
And hence, I wanted to create more awareness about this. And that's why I wrote this book.
This book,
And that's why it's called Sick Nation.
Sick Nation. Great. So obviously there are people like you and me now. Of course, you are the pioneer. I followed after, and we are making people aware about what and how this is. But what do you think are like at least five non-negotiables that everyone should be doing? Like I mean, we talk about it, we try talking about it, but there's some like five non-negotiables that you would say that you have to do this to put your insulin in check, and this just has to be a part of your daily routine.
Yeah. I don't know if I have five for you, but I definitely have three for you.
Okay.
And in my book, I call them a big rocks principle.
Okay.
It's basically an inspiration taken from a time management technique, which says, take care of the bigger tasks first. So I've
Correct.
taken inspiration from that. And imagine you have a glass jar in front of you, and you have big rocks, small rocks, and you have sand to fit into that jar. You can either put small rocks and sand first, but then your top priorities, which represents big rocks, don't fit, or you put big rocks first and then you can
Put- yeah.
put the sand around it naturally. So there are three big rocks that I talk about in my book that are essential for metabolic health, and those three big rocks, no surprise. First one is nutrition. Second one is activity/exercise,
Correct.
and then your sleep and stress cycle. I think if you get these three right, you will largely be in a find yourself in a good metabolic health.
Okay.
And so these would be the top
Top
three, basically.
Three. Now that you mentioned activity and physical activity, what is your take on that? How important is it? How often should someone do it? Like, what is your
Yeah.
thought process around that?
Yeah. So in our body, our biggest glucose sink is our muscle tissue, skeletal muscle, right?
Correct.
So roughly 70% of the blood sugar is taken up by our muscle tissue. Now, muscle tissue has obviously very close connection with exercise.
Yeah.
Hence, this pillar becomes extremely important.
Right.
And even low amount of activity can have a profound impact on your metabolic health. In my book, I call it actually the best medicine
Okay.
that exists to fix metabolic disorders. Activity.
Okay.
I think one activity that anyone can do is basically walking. I have tested this on my CGM, and after my meals, if I take a
Yeah.
walk, the same meals tend to give me lower blood sugar spike
sugar
as compared to if I was sitting on my couch and just watching Netflix, right? So I think walking a simple 20-minute walk after your meal
Yeah.
will give you a lower blood sugar spike, and it might vary from person to person, but for me, I usually tend to get like 20% lower spike from the same meals, which would otherwise give me higher spikes. So I think that's the table stakes. Everyone should do it.
Should do it.
But then if you want to optimize your metabolic health, then the research says, and I've mentioned that in my book, that strength training has profound impact on your metabolic health. Very simple logic, when you strength train, you're training your muscles, you're putting them to use, which means that you're depleting your existing glycogen stores in the
It's
muscle,
being used, yeah.
and then you have free capacity to absorb more glucose from your bloodstream. But the second benefit is that when you exercise, you also grow your muscles. So now you have a bigger disposal sink. So it has a double benefit.
Okay.
So strength training, research says, is really really superior. But again, I believe that the best exercise is the one that you will do consistently.
So
if you
whatever,
if you like doing cardio, if you like doing whatever, swimming or
Yeah.
aerobic exercise, then do that, and that will benefit. But strength training is definitely superior. So I would, and I have full protocol mentioned in my book. But in short, I would recommend 40 to 45-minute strength training session at least 3 to 4 times a week. I think you will see very profound impact with that. And I want to mention one more thing. Strength training does not just only mean that you have to lift weight in at gym. You can also do body weight exercise.
Okay.
So if you don't want to lift weight, or if you can't lift weight, then do resistance
Resistance
training
training.
with your body weight, and that will also have a
In
profound
fact, I
impact.
feel like that's tougher because I've been doing it for a while now. I've been trying to put activity in order and trying resistant training as well as strength training. So I get to hear this a lot, that women shouldn't strength train. And I talk about it a lot because I think it's really, really important for women also to strength train. So do you have any take on men versus women kind of thing in the similar field? Like men react differently and women react differently, or they should treat this differently and men should treat this differently. Do you have a thought process about that?
I think everyone should strength train if they can.
And everything else,
Yeah.
right? Like
In fact,
nutrition while is also, it's the same for both, right? Like,
yeah. In fact, it might be more important for women, I feel,
yeah,
because during perimenopause,
correct.
you lose a lot of muscle mass. So I think it is even more
More
important in my
important.
opinion. So I think everyone should strength train
Strength
if
train.
they can.
Yeah. Okay, great. So now tell me, you've tested so many food products. And of course, you and me both have used the CGM. We tested on our CGM. Now, for someone who does not have access to the CGM or is scared of it or for whatever reason is not using it, what should they be doing? Like, how should they be handling their food plates and how should they be like looking into what we should be eating and what should they just follow us blindly or what should they do?
Well, of course, this should be following people like you and me and get an idea.
Yeah.
But take it with a pinch of salt, because our results will not be same as your
Same as
results.
theirs. Yeah, that's
And
right.
because it entirely depends on what your metabolic status is. And if you have any metabolic syndrome, then you probably would get a much larger spike than us. So your results would definitely be different. However, I'm yet to meet a person who will eat a carbohydrates and their blood sugar will not go up. So
Yeah, yeah.
directionally, you will still get very
Get
meaningful insights, right? So
insights.
you can get directional insights by watching people like you and me.
Yeah,
Uh, but other than that, look, it's not nutrition is not as complicated as people make it. There are only three macronutrients:
correct.
carbohydrates, fats, and protein, right?
And a typical plate should look like
Uh,
70%, 60%, 50%. What? How? Like, how would you divide a typical healthy plate?
if you look at these three macronutrients,
Yeah,
the ones that would spike your blood sugar and insulin the most are carbohydrates.
correct.
Protein will not, for most people, will not spike the glucose levels, but they do have some insulin secretion, but that's for a completely different reason and
Correct.
very different mechanism and much lower than carbohydrates.
Correct.
And fats have zero impact on blood glucose and insulin, right? So now, logically, this should tell you that your plate should contain less of the stuff that is going to spike your blood sugar and insulin, which is carbohydrates, and more of the other two things, which is protein and healthy fats. For some reason, we find ourselves in a society where fats are feared, and I think that's a completely misguided
Yeah.
advice, which has plagued us for the last 30-40 years for various reasons. We can talk about that, but that the new research says that all fats are bad theory is scientifically inaccurate, and it is extremely important that you do incorporate healthy fats in your diet.
Correct.
So, to answer your question more directly, your plate should ideally have more protein, good fats, and small amount of carbohydrates.
Correct. Great. But tell me, now I have a question in regards to that.
Right?
I mean, carbs is generally considered the villain, right? Like everyone will be like, no carbs, no carbs, no
Yeah.
carbs. But is there a way that we can have the carbs and, maybe there are other part of our lifestyle that's actually raising our blood sugar levels and it's not only the carbs? Like, what is your take on that?
Yeah. Look, I don't want to demonize carbs. There are ways to manage them.
Yeah.
I I call it. I came up with this idea of a traffic light system when it comes to your carbohydrates, and I think the reason I came up with this is because this is easier for most people to remember. Next time when you look at your plate, and especially when you look at carbohydrates, you can always imagine this red, orange,
Yeah.
and green light. Red basically means no go. Orange means be careful, and green means that you can
go
you can
ahead.
you can consume them. And if you look at carbohydrates, you can actually all carbohydrates, you can very easily stack them in this red, orange, and green zone. So starting with the green zone, this contains three food types: vegetables, fruits, and legumes. So all
Okay.
your dal and pulses, right?
Yeah.
Uh, this is these three food groups. They all are
Carbs,
carbohydrates.
yeah.
Vegetables are
Yeah.
carbohydrates. If Earth grows it, it is a
It's
carbohydrate.
yeah.
Okay, so if you look the way nature gives you these carbohydrates, they come in with built-in fiber,
Correct.
and that's how we were supposed to consume
Consume it.
carbohydrates.
Correct.
So vegetables, fruits, legumes, they have a lot of built-in fiber, which is great and which usually gives you no or very gentle blood sugar spike.
Correct.
So this you can have these three food categories within carbohydrates you can eat generously. You can
Okay.
incorporate that in your diet. If you have any metabolic syndrome, then go easy on fruits is what I would say,
Would recommend. Okay.
because fruits tend to
They
have
have a
natural
high,
sugar
okay,
in, and
yeah.
they will spike your blood sugar.
Yeah.
So if you have a metabolic syndrome, then go easy on them,
Easy.
right? So that's the green zone.
Yeah.
Then you have orange zone, which is cautious, be careful. And in this orange zone, basically all grains fall in this category.
Okay.
So wheat, rice, millets, bread, which is again made with
Yeah.
flour or something.
Yeah.
So all the grains
Fall into your orange.
fall into this category.
Correct.
And I have two rules to manage this. One is go easy on the quantity, so control the portion size, and secondly, control the timing.
Okay.
If you are able to have this food group around your exercise or activity,
Yeah.
so 2 hours
Prior.
before or after your activity, then that's great. So control orange zone, which includes all grains, through portion control and timing. And then we have red zone, which basically contains all carbohydrates, refined ultra processed carbohydrates that come in boxes. So all your ultra processed foods,
All packaged.
to put it simply, if
Yeah.
it is in a box and if it contains a
It's in a-
barcode, it is an ultra processed
correct.
carbohydrate most likely,
Correct.
and that is a complete no go. So that's how I think you can manage your carbohydrates without fearing them.
Nice. Thanks for that. It's quite insightful to use it in such a thing. Now, I have this question that I get asked a lot, and I want to ask you that. Jaggery versus table sugar.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
In terms of blood sugar spike or in terms of nutrition?
Both. Both.
So let's talk about blood sugar spike
Yeah.
first. Look, if you look at the composition, let's talk
Yeah.
scientifically, right? If you
Yeah.
look at the composition of jaggery, I think it's roughly 90% or so a combination of glucose and fructose.
Correct.
And your table sugar, refined sugar is 50-50, right? It's
yeah.
glucose and fructose.
Fructose, yeah.
So chemically speaking, there is no difference.
Yeah.
And your body does not differentiate between refined sugar or jaggery. It treats it the same way. Both will spike your blood sugar. Both will push your pancreas to produce insulin,
Yeah.
and actually, pretty large dose of insulin would be needed because you're going to get a
Yeah.
lot of blood sugar spike.
Yeah.
So your body treats both of them the same. There is no difference between refined sugar, jaggery, honey, maple syrup, whatever other
Any of these sweeteners. Yeah.
you want to talk about, right? So natural,
natural
nutritive
sweeteners, yeah.
sweeteners, basically. So blood sugar wise, they're pretty much the same.
same.
Few points here and there doesn't matter, right? So more or less, you're going to get the same blood sugar spike. If you talk about nutritionally,
Correct.
because that's an argument that I hear a lot,
Yeah.
where people say that, hey, jaggery contains, I think, what is it, iron, or I don't know what more, there's some nutrient it has more.
Nutrient.
So my question to them would be, will you consume cigarettes because tobacco leaves contain trace minerals?
No.
Well, that's same for jaggery.
Yeah, it's a great example actually
Yeah.
to give people. Yeah.
The amount of minerals that are there in jaggery, they are in trace amounts, and you probably would have to eat so much jaggery
So much of it, yeah.
that
to
your
get
blood sugar
those-
would be, would go first of all completely crazy,
Yeah.
and you would never be able to meet your mineral requirements by consuming a small amounts of jaggery.
Correct,
So
of course.
if you're not going to have a cigarette because tobacco leaves contain
Those
trace minerals, then
minerals.
then jaggery doesn't give you anything special.
Great, perfect. And now, in regards to this, in continuation to this, what do you think? What's your take on artificial sweeteners?
Artificial sweeteners are actually, I think, some of them are great.
Yeah.
There is a whole class of, there are different classes of
Class,
artificial
correct,
sweeteners,
right,
right? You have
right.
your non-nutritive artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and there are a bunch
There are a
more. Right?
bunch of them, yeah.
And then you have sugar alcohols like
Yes.
erythritol
Yeah, correct.
and all of that, the ones that end with OL basically are
Alls, yeah,
all
all the
alcohol, right?
alls.
Sugar
Yeah.
alcohols. Uh, these two, I would go easy on them.
Hmm.
For some people, sugar alcohols like erythritol, they cause some gut distress.
Correct.
And the artificial non-nutritive sweeteners like aspartame and some
Correct.
of these have shown in some research to cross the blood-brain barrier,
Hmm.
and I don't want that stuff in my brain. So I think go easy on them. If you're having, a single can of Diet Coke,
Coke.
I don't know, once in a month, then it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
Uh, but there is a third class of artificial sweeteners, which I think is great. These are all natural, zero-calorie sweeteners like stevia, allulose,
Okay.
and monk fruit.
Monk fruit. Yeah.
Monk fruit is in India, especially, is sold in combination with erythritol.
Correct.
A
Right.
lot of brands are selling, they're branding it monk fruit, but if you turn the table, you will see that
Ingredients.
it's 99% erythritol and
Erythritol,
1%
right.
monk fruit or 2%
Correct.
monk fruit, right? So
Correct.
be careful about what you're buying. Uh, Pure monk fruit, it exists
Is
out there. And so monk fruit, allulose, and stevia would be my top picks.
is your topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Great. Okay. Next question would be GLP-1, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, all of them that are doing the rounds. What do you think about that?
My view on GLP-1 drugs is purely from the research perspective and not,
Yeah.
from as a practitioner, obviously.
Yeah.
The research that I've seen tells me that GLP-1 is net positive if you are clinically obese,
Okay.
because obesity has whole lot of problems with it, right? So if you are clinically obese, then maybe it's then it's net positive for you. It's maybe a good idea to try GLP-1, lose the initial whatever 10 20 kilos, whatever it is, and that'll give you a you know that'll give you a major boost, I feel. But
Okay.
if you're not clinically obese, then in my opinion it doesn't make so much sense, because the trade-offs are, in my opinion, not worth it.
Okay.
Another research points out that 40% of the weight loss that happens because we lose the muscle mass.
Muscle mass.
So, for example, if you lose 10 kgs on GLP-1, the research says that roughly 4 kilos will be lost, because 4 kilo will be muscle mass, lean muscle mass, and 6 kilos will be fat mass.
Yeah, and to get that back is
Is extremely difficult,
very
right?
difficult. Yeah.
Another research said that 50% of the people actually stop taking GLP-1 after 1 year, and almost 80 or 90% of the people stop taking GLP-1 after 24 months. So at some point you're going to get off. And when you get off, then your appetite is going to come back, most
right,
likely.
right.
And unless you are super disciplined, you're going to go back to your old eating habits, and you will gain weight, and that weight gain will almost exclusively be fat gain.
Yeah.
So you end up in a much worse situation from where you started, because now you have also lost that precious lean mass.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Something else that I wanted to ask you was about Sweet Reactions app.
Right.
What do we gain from that? What is it all about? Can you tell us something about it?
Yeah. Look, I actually built this AI app. I basically, trained it on my entire data set, my knowledge, my experiments, so that it gives a easy way for people to optimize their meals.
Correct.
One thing I realize is that for most people, food is extremely, most people are not very pragmatic when it comes to food. Most people, for most people, food is emotion, or it's culture, it's family sitting together and eating, and then you don't want to be the weird one not having the the regular meal that everyone else is having. So most people are, that's the relationship with the food.
Yeah, everyone's emotionally attached somehow with their food.
And that's fair. And people, if you ask someone, do you want to be dieting for your entire life? No one wants to do that, right? So
And it's very difficult. You cannot.
yeah. So human nature is not built for
Built for that, yeah,
for dieting.
yeah.
Dieting is not cutting calories.
Also,
is
I
not
think
the
the
solution.
word dieting and calorie counting and all of that
Yeah.
kind of just like stresses people out
Yeah.
immediately. So
I'm not a big fan of calorie counting. So because if it's you versus hunger, hunger will always win.
correct.
Okay, so there is no way that you're going to win against hunger.
Correct.
That's just not humanly possible. And you can't be dieting forever. You can't be cutting calories forever. It's not a sustainable way.
Right.
So I had these insights after talking to thousands of people who DM me or comment me, and I my idea was that I don't want you to count calories. I don't want you to to diet, can I make your whatever is on your plate better?
Better. Correct.
And I've tested so many foods now. I've learned so much about nutrition and trained on nutrition as well. So I basically took my data set and my learnings, and I trained an AI to optimize whatever is on your plate to make it better for
Better.
a blood sugar response,
Okay.
which basically is what sweetreactions.ai is all
Is all
about.
about. That's lovely. So easy for everyone to access, use, download.
Yeah.
It's easy, right? For anyone to
Absolutely.
use.
It's available on both the app stores, Apple or Google Play.
Google.
You can download it. All you basically just do is that you tell Sweet Reactions AI what you're going to be having and
They
describe your
just
meal,
make it
and it will instantly give you ideas on how to make that
Make
meal
it
blood
better.
sugar friendly.
Lovely.
And there are various ways it does that. It will suggest you better ingredients. It will suggest you different cooking techniques, swaps, and simple things that you can actually implement there and then to make your meals blood sugar friendly.
That's great. Lovely. Thank you for that. We needed it. So, Karan, there is this whole trending thing about intermittent fasting. I love it personally. I follow it even, but there are a lot of rumors around about how it's not good or it is good. So, what's your take on it?
Yeah. Actually, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting.
Great.
I have it in my book as a fourth pillar in nutrition.
Okay.
So, I have a full protocol actually.
Okay.
I believe that first of all, when it comes to nutrition, you need to do the basics first, which is you need to control your carbohydrates. You don't need to fear fats, good fats, incorporate them in your diet, and you need to prioritize protein.
Correct.
That's my very simple advice when it comes to nutrition.
Correct.
And the fourth pillar that I have in nutrition is that once you have mastered the top three, you should practice intermittent fasting or fasting in general.
Okay.
I was actually doing it myself 2 years ago. I used to do a long extended fast, 24-hour fast once a week.
Oh, wow.
And this is, I must say, my view on this is not because you want to do this to cut your calories, but this is a great way to become insulin sensitive.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, what is causing your insulin levels to go up? It is basically the food that you eat, and 70% of those calories typically come from carbohydrates. Now, when you're not eating, then there is no reason for your insulin to spike, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So this is a great way to
Way to
reset your
reset.
insulin levels and become more insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
So I think especially if you have a metabolic syndrome, then I think it should be part of your toolkit.
Okay.
There are of course downsides, because if you fast, then you would people tend to lose some muscle mass because they're not eating enough protein.
Right.
So that's something that you need to be aware of. As long as you are able to eat enough protein in your non-fasting window,
Okay.
and ideally if you are putting your muscles to use through strength training,
Right.
I think this could be an incredible tool to become insulin sensitive.
So it is something that you would strongly recommend.
It's not just something that I strongly recommend. I do it personally, so of
So-
course.
Great. Another trending word on Instagram and everywhere around now is cortisol.
Right.
What is your take on, and what do you think is the relation of cortisol with your blood sugar levels?
Yeah. Actually, very strong relationship.
Yeah.
Cortisol is a stress hormone that is
Correct.
released by our body. It was actually, if you go back to our evolution, it was a very sophisticated stress management system. To get out of a stressful situation, it was designed for that.
Correct.
So, for example, if you go back, say, I don't know, 100, 200 years ago, at that point of time, you are in the wild, and let's say you face a lion, your body would basically, there is a HPA axis in our body which will get triggered, which would then the job of the HPA axis is to mobilize resources to provide you energy to get out of the dangerous situation.
Okay, correct.
So the HPA axis would then trigger the release of stress hormones, which would then break down glucose in your body. So it will give you so your glucose will go up, and that will give you energy to run from lion. Right.
Correct.
That's the logic.
Right.
The problem is that the system was designed that the stress levels go up, your stress hormones go up, but then they come down.
down,
That's the
right.
natural system, and
phenomena,
that's very
yeah,
healthy, right?
yeah.
But unfortunately, in today's world, we find ourselves in a chronically stressed situation.
Everyone is stressed all
Exactly.
the time.
So that means that our HPA axis is now stuck, and
Hi.
it is producing stress hormones all the
All the
time,
time.
and cortisol is directly opposes the effects of insulin. So what does insulin want to do? It wants to bring the blood sugar down.
Down.
But what does cortisol want to do? It wants to bring the blood sugar up.
Up. Oh.
So it directly opposes the effects of insulin, and that's why it's one of the major contributors to insulin resistance. You can eat right, you can do all the activity in the world, but if you are chronically stressed, there is a very strong chance that you would develop resistance to insulin. And it doesn't end there. Unfortunately, the second mechanism is that stress typically tends to cause belly fat. You will notice, people who are
Yeah.
chronically stressed, they would have a lot of belly fat, and the reason for that is because we have more cortisol receptors in the visceral area,
Correct.
and visceral fat is it's a vicious circle, and visceral fat then promotes insulin resistance. So
Right.
you're
So
basically
it's
fine
just
exactly
round
in
and
the loop.
round again.
So stress has a very
Continue.
deep impact on your insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance. You know, in my book I have talked about multiple protocols on how you can manage stress. Something as simple as a breathing technique,
Yeah.
can help a lot.
Correct.
Deep breathing, and I have mentioned a 5-second protocol in my
Okay.
book.
Lovely.
If you find yourself in an acute stress situation, you can get out of that, and then there are other things as well. But one thing that works really well to control stress is sleep, and sleep is your natural reset, is what I call it in my
Yeah.
book. If your sleep cycle is disrupted, then that independently will make you less insulin sensitive. There's a study in the book that I've cited which says that if one night of bad sleep can reduce your insulin sensitivity by 30% the next day.
Oh wow.
So it has an independent effect, but then if you sleep less, then your body is in stressed situation, so it has a double impact. And sleep is a great way to reset your stress levels and make sure that you are insulin sensitive.
Okay. Wow, that was quite an insightful information. And I just noticed that you're wearing an aura ring,
Yes,
and I'm wearing a whoop.
nice.
So tell me, what do you think? How does this affect us? Like, do we get obsessed with watching numbers and being, or it's a good way to understand where you stand?
Like CGMs, it's
Yeah,
another.
because people think, I mean, just saying from my personal experience, people think I'm obsessed. They're like, you're wearing a CGM, you're but I mean, what's the harm to know, how
Yeah.
your body is reacting to different things that you're consuming or that you're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah. Look, if you don't measure or if you don't monitor, then you can never, effectively fix the problem, right? So,
Right.
for me, tools like, sleep tracking rings or CGMs, for me, they are a way to track how I'm doing on these fronts,
Correct.
and then learn from those insights and adapt.
Right.
So I think it really depends how you take it. I mean, some people do get stressed. They open their sleep tracking app every morning, and then they're stressed about the fact that they did not
Sleep
sleep
enough.
well. So it is entirely up to you how you take it. If you take it in a positive way, and if you use it as a tool to monitor and then learn and then adapt,
Right.
that will have a very meaningful impact on your metabolic health. Small example, I because I track my sleep so often, I have now been able to identify triggers that affect my sleep quality,
Wow.
and I could actually see the changes in my sleep quality.
Right.
For example, if I notice that every time when I eat too close to my sleeping window, then my sleep quality or sleep score is usually worse the next day.
Right.
So your body expects you to go to bed in a fasted state, not in a fed state.
Right.
So this you would only know if you monitor, right?
Monitor,
And
correct.
so I think these are tools which are preventative in nature, and I think that's how you should
That's how
treat
you
them.
should be using them. Great. Yeah. Thank you for that. And I think one more important question again that does the rounds. Everyone's talking about it. Fruit is healthy. Fruit is healthy, and then there is opposite views about no, fruit is full of sugar, and of course increases your blood sugar. So what do you think about that? Like, what's your take on that?
Uh, Look, I think we tend to eat fruits like a meal. We basically fill the entire bowl of various different fruits. That's not how we are supposed to, or we were supposed to eat
Yeah,
fruits.
sorry. I go to these places and there are breakfast buffets and I see people like
Yeah,
heaping up their plates with fruits as soon as they've entered.
yeah,
And I'm not too sure what I should be saying to them.
yeah. You have to understand that. the fruits that we eat today, they are specifically engineered to do two things. One, the fruit manufacturers, they want to increase the yield of the fruit so that
Correct.
they can produce more and sell more, right?
Mm.
And in order to sell more,
Mm.
they have to make them taste great. And
Right.
usually, uh, that comes from sweetness of
Mm.
the fruit. So
Right.
the fruits that we eat today, they tend to have more sugar content in them as compared to the same fruits, from 200 years ago.
Hmm.
And this is, I've mentioned that research in my book. You can look at archaeological data. You can look at pictures. There, in fact, a lot of the fruits that we eat today, they still exist in their wild forms.
Right.
It's just that they don't get to our kitchen, but they do exist.
Right.
And you will not be able to recognize the fruits that we eat today if you look at their pictures from 200 years ago, right?
Oh.
For example, if you look at banana, ancient banana used to be much much smaller. It used to have seed, and it was much less sweeter.
Sweeter.
Likewise, if you look at apple, they used to be small,
Small.
and they used to be more bitter, less sweet. If you look at watermelon, now we get these gorgeous red
Yeah.
watermelon.
Full, yeah.
Actually, it used to be the opposite. The red part used to be less in the ancient watermelon, and more white
White
part,
part,
and
yeah.
they were not so sweet.
Sweet.
So basically, fruits used to have a lot of fiber in them, less sugar, and they used to be seasonal.
Right. Right. Now everything's available all the time.
Exactly, and and that's how nature intended
Yeah.
the fruits to be.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but if you look why fruits are seasonal, it's because they serve a purpose.
Right.
Fruits tend to mature during the summertime, they ripe, and then
Correct.
they're available before winter in autumn, right?
Correct.
I don't know if you know this, but I can tell you a story. If you of basically if you look at grizzly bears,
Right.
uh, and there are more examples of more animals, they basically gorge on fruits during autumn
Right.
before they go into hibernation,
Okay.
because fruits is a great way for them to put on body fat,
Oh.
because they are sweet,
Yeah.
and they make them because they taste so good. They
Yeah,
eat so much of
of
them
it.
during the autumn time, and they put on a lot of body fat, and then they go into hibernation for 6 months, and they use that
that.
body fat, right? That body
Wow.
fat. So that body fat is essential for their survival. And it's not just grizzly bears, by the way. You can look at boars. There are certain birds, before they migrate, they actually eat
Eat a lot
a
of
lot of
fruit.
fruits. So unfortunately, we humans, we don't go into hibernation,
Clearly not.
right?
Yeah.
And we get fruits that are available not just in that season, but
But
throughout
all
the year.
through the year. Yeah.
So that's not how nature intended us to consume
Consume
fruits.
fruits,
They
right.
were intended to be different. They were intended to be consumed seasonally,
Correct.
and not the way we eat them now. So my suggestion is that treat fruits like a dessert. Have them in small quantities after your meals. That's way better than the way we eat them now, basically.
Wow. That's actually a lot to know about fruits. As harmless as they seem, they're
Yeah.
not as harmless. But yeah, great. That was very, very insightful. Thank you so much for that. And now coming to what we are here for, actually, why we've met after a very long time that we've been planning this is your book,
Right.
Sick Nation. So tell us, where can we find? I mean, I have my copy, but if anyone wants to find it, where can they purchase it from?
You got a pre-release copy.
Yes,
so
I
it's
did,
One of
which
the
is going to get autographed soon.
which is one of the few rare ones.
Yeah.
Uh, a book is now available. It's out. It was launched across India on 18th of December, so it's already out now.
Lovely.
You will find it in a lot of retail stores. You will find it at a lot of airports.
Okay.
But the easiest way is that you go to Amazon and you
order.
search for the book title Sick Nation,
Yeah.
and that's the easiest way to buy it.
Great, great. Thank you so much for this. And thank you for sharing all the insights that you have over a long period of time. And thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.